Mayday wise, the worst couple I had were like, I remember like an Aer Lingus took off, got about 80 miles off the coast and turned round. And I seen it on the radar because like we only control out to about 30 or 40 miles. But I was like looking like, why is he coming back? He's coming back in, and then you get things start coming through. Yeah, smoke in the cockpit. So like there's smoke in the cockpit. They don't know if that means a fire or what it means, but there's smoke in their cockpit. And the thing, like I remember like when it hit me was like, and you can hear like the nervousness in the pilot's voice.
Oh, wow.
You know, because he's wearing a big gas mask and having to bloody fly this thing in. So I'm there like, what happens if this plane crashes? What happened with the magic for me was, right, I went from like never doing it to doing it semi-professionally, I suppose you could say. And then what happened was I got into air traffic control. Like I didn't go to uni, no qualifications, and then applied to be an air traffic controller because my cousin was one that looked like a cool job, paid well, lots of time off, all the rest. And I just went and did that. And then I kind of went from like having a low paying job, and that was kind of my side hustle, and thinking, shoot, maybe I could do this, to being like, oh, well, no, that's me just sort of for life now. Like,
what, the air traffic thing?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's me. That's
how long did you say you did that for?
8 years.
What
I was like 21.
What are you doing in there? Are you like speaking to people?
Telling planes to take off and land.
That's a pretty
and
cool
climb
job.
And descend and turn and.
Well, you're telling planes
control.
when to turn?
Yeah.
How do you know?
So air traffic control isn't the paddle guy.
Right.
It's the guy who sits in front of a radar, and like you have all the blips on the screen. You know when Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Gets really stressed and crashes 2 planes in the sky.
Yeah.
That's you. That's an air traffic controller.
So you could have been at fault for a plane crash.
Yeah.
That's quite a stressful job.
Yeah, it is. It's like known as like the most stressful of them, because it's like you literally like you tell pilots to climb, descend, turn, reduce speed, clear them to land. You're the one who send that tarmac sweep mate, come and land, or take off. So it's proper like safety critical. Like you can kill people. So get into that.
But your cousin was one.
Yeah.
And then they just let you be one.
No. So this is where it's going to sound like I'm kind of sucking myself off a bit.
Right.
So there's actually a massive intake process.
Right.
So the Irish Aviation Authority is the one in Ireland. Now there's a UK one. But in Ireland there was like thousands of applicants, and you all come. I had to go down to Dublin like 5 times.
You what, sorry?
I had to go down to Dublin.
Oh, okay, right.
A couple of hour drive type
Yeah.
thing, like 5 times. So the first stage was an aptitude test, pen and paper, where you do this aptitude test and see like do you have your wits about you, basically like a rough kind of IQ testy vibe. And then you come back and you do a computer aptitude test.
Was that a bit like hazard perception or?
Yeah, they do. So there was more questions and stuff, but they did. I think you did a computer one, and then you went away, and then you came back and you did this thing called like a dart test or something.
Right.
Can't really remember. There were a few different, and a feast test, and they're all these. So one of them was like they stress the shit out of you, and you play these games where there's like balls bouncing off walls in 2 squares, and you have to hit the button whenever it touches a wall on both, and like stuff like this.
Right.
But something that was interesting, they come out afterwards when I talked to my colleagues again, like they tell everyone that you're performing below average to stress you out, to see how you cope after being told that you're performing below average.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
You know, shit like that.
Yeah.
Or like, so that was that, and there was a load of those games. I got through that round, and then the next one was like guiding blips round through like gates.
Right.
In like on a computer screen, so you're basically guiding multiple blips through multiple little courses,
right,
to make them not hit things. And then there was an interview. There was a group interview. So basically, they throw 70 in a room around a table, and they have a psychologist in the room, a pilot in the room, and an air traffic controller in the room, and some other admin HR person. And you all get pieces of paper, and they basically are like, right, you have all different roles in an airport, and you all want £500,000. There's 70, but there's only £1 million. So like there's only enough to make 2 of you happy, type of thing. And it's like you all have to go and try and fight your corner. But like basically they're trying to weed out the dicks.
Right. Oh, okay, right.
Do you know what I mean? Like try and take out people who are just dicks.
Yeah.
So they all watch, and then the dicks get kicked out.
Why would a dick make a bad air traffic controller?
I think it's more just like team.
They don't want them. They don't want to work with them.
No, but like, air traffic control is a very like collaborative thing where like you in certain positions in air traffic control you'll have like an executive controller, and then you'll have the planner who's planning ahead, and you're working together.
Oh, right.
Or if I'm working in one sector, and then you're downstream, or you're the next sector, like I'm sending a plane to yours, like we'll be coordinating with each other a lot.
Okay.
So like if you think of the airspace as kind of like this is one airspace, and then there's like sorry for audio listeners, basically like little bubbles that kind of grow on each other.
Okay.
So every time a plane's climbing up, it goes through like
Different
ground
zones.
control, tower control, approach control, low level, high level, and then it'll come back through all those. So it's
Okay.
like you're going through multiple controllers' airspaces.
Right.
This is all a bit technical now.
No, I like it though. I really like. Yeah.
I don't know if there's interest or not.
No, it is.
You
It
need to
is.
Cut me off.
No, it is. It is.
So it's one of those where you don't want a dickhead in like the next sector, or
Right.
you just don't want a dickhead in the company.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So they weed them out, and then you do the interview.
Right.
So this is like 5 or 6 stages in.
But going back to that game you said with the 7 people and the 500,000
Yeah.
or whatever, can you remember how that worked? What's the process behind that? How did you succeed in that game?
So I think because my cousin had been there, done that, and all this, I actually had a lot of prep from him in terms of like what to expect. And he told me like, look, this is the type of thing they might be looking for and whatever else. So like something I did when I went in, I think I did this, was like guys, look, just to like maybe get on top of this, and we'll shout each other, look, there's a clipboard over there, I'm going to bring it over and we'll write some stuff down. And does anyone want to do that type of thing? But like kind of showed a bit of initiative.
Yeah, right.
Leadership.
Yeah, right.
And then like sat down, didn't be like, you're not obnoxious, you're not over talking, you're not pushing your point too hard, you're trying to be fair, diplomatic.
Yeah.
Basically, I think the main key was like, don't stand out for being a dick. Like, don't fight your corner too much, really.
Right.
I think it's about like showing like you're, taking a bit of initiative and whatever else, and you care, so that they see you and be like, oh, I didn't see him. Yeah. But you don't want to be like, you don't want to be remembered as the guy who was like, oh, I remember that dick, he wouldn't shop about getting his $500,000. You know what I mean? I don't know. You had to be seen a bit of give and take.
Yeah.
It was a fun kind of game.
So you had the interview, and then you found out you got the job soon after that, or
The only other thing remotely interesting about the final interview, which is on your own, there's a panel of 3 people, and they'd ask you a question about, John, tell us a time in your life when you were very stressed. Okay, and how did that make you feel? What did you learn from it? Okay, tell us a time you were in a team and you were very stressed. And this guy's asking this, and out of a sudden in the corner goes, John, what's 71 times 32? And you're there like, what? 71 times 32, then go back to the question, and you're like, you're working at 2,000 something, whatever it is. And then you go back and try and get back in your flow, and it's just trying to catch you off guard.
did you know that those questions were coming or not? No.
But it's, again, I think like that's one of those, it's very old school, isn't it? It's just like, let's put them under stress and see how they cope.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
hit them with big Maz questions in the middle of it because it's cool and it sounds amazing. What are you really achieving? Do you know what I mean?
What was it? So you get the job. What was the most stressful day on the job, or something that would happen regularly that would stress you the fuck out?
Well, the most stressful days of my working life were kind of the things that made me end up inevitably jacking it in and just doing content. Now, that would never have happened, and I loved the job and I would have done it until I was 65, happily. But I think it was more around like, the thing with air traffic control is if you mess up, you can just lose your license, and if you lose your license, you might lose your job. Now, there's a lot of protections and unions and stuff in place, but equally, there is a chance. And I had like an admin error, and it really pissed me off. So this is boring, I won't get into the weeds. Ultimately, I went, did all the things I should have done to get my license renewed, handed it into the office, and was like, there it is, sweet. Went on holidays, came back, forgot about getting the license physically back, but it's like with the admin staff to sort out, and then they give it back to you. They never sorted it out. They never gave it back to me. I never realized they didn't give it back to me because I kind of like, you don't look at your license every day. It sits in your locker, and if someone asks for it, you have to show it.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about it. Here you go, sweet, that's box ticked off. I go on my holidays, came back, never came back. 8 months later, I was due for like a refresher thing, and it's like, where's your license? I don't know. I didn't have one, and I'd been operating without a license for 8 months or something.
Oh no, shit.
I had done everything you need to get the license.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the piece of paper. So it was this, like, I got hauled into the office and like hit. Now this is mid shift too. I got hit with like, you could lose your job, you could get fined $5,000, you could go to prison. This is incredibly serious.
Fucking hell.
And I'm there like, I'm gonna lose my job. You know what I mean? I'm literally like, mortgage, like life. I was like, I'm screwed. I have no other talents. I've no other skills. I didn't go to uni. I'm in the mud. Turns out it was wrapping the knuckles up to Dublin for a day, met with some people, whatever else. But I was just like, I didn't like the fact that like that, like I didn't really do anything wrong.
No.
I know on paper I should have chased it up.
Yeah.
But like, I passed the tests. I'm good at my job. I don't have incidents. And that's the most stressed I've been. And it wasn't even because of controlling planes.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing about the job in terms of stress is there's people who have like chronic stress. There's people who answer emails 10 times a day or hundreds of times a day. People who have these jobs who never switch off. Their boss can call them at night, whatever else. That for me is like chronic stress, and that would stress the shit out of me. Air traffic control is a type of job where it's like 99% of the time you're chill.
Right.
It's easy. And the other thing is a large part of that intake process is to weed out people who get stressed. It's not about who's smart. It's not about straight A students. It's about, are you built for just stress and being chill? So naturally I'm kind of built that way. So I didn't really get stressed, but there's that 1% of the time.
Yeah.
That's what you're paid for.
Yeah.
Not 0.1% of the time. That's what you're paid for.
Yeah, right.
So like, incidents like Mayday, Mayday.
What's that mean?
Mayday. So like in air traffic control, Mayday basically means the aircraft. So if the pilot says Mayday, it means the aircraft is in grave or imminent danger of like death.
And did you have them?
Yeah, I had like 3 or 4 or 5 Maydays, which is way more than I should have for how long I was in that job.
Did anything happen from those, or did you manage to fix
Managed
them?
to get them back safe.
Oh, yeah.
Hero.
Yeah, I'm a national hero. No, yeah, so like legitimately, like I'd way more Mayday. So there's different levels of like emergency on aircraft. So there's like pan, which is kind of like we're in diffs here, but like we're all right, but be great to get back with a bit of priority. And you always just prioritize them, but technically I don't think they're really needed. But that'll be if someone has a heart attack on board, or no, a heart attack would be like an emergency, like get me down, but it's not Mayday because it's not like
The whole craft.
the aircraft's fine.
Yeah.
It's just like a medical pan. It's like someone here is in the mud. Let's get them on the ground to a hospital.
Did that happen a lot there?
You get a few of them, or like because Ireland is just like a lot of people coming over the Atlantic from America. If anything ever happens in them, instead of continuing to Germany, they might come into Ireland.
Right.
Or people coming up from Spain, if they don't go through like French airspace to the UK, they might come over Ireland and then they could divert into Cork because it's in the south.
Right.
So you get a bit of that.
Yeah.
But Mayday wise, the worst couple I had were like, I remember like an Aer Lingus took off. Probably shouldn't be dropping names of all this. Anyway, a plane took off.
Yeah.
And got about 80 miles off the coast and turned round. And I seen it on the radar because like we only control like about 30 or 40 miles. But I was like looking like, why is he coming back? Phone rings. Shamrock is what you call Aer Lingus. It's their call sign. Like Shamrock 862 has declared a Mayday. He's on his way back to Cork. Blah, blah, blah. He's coming back in and then you get things start coming through. Yeah, smoke in the cockpit. So like there's smoke in the cockpit. They don't know if that means a fire or what it means, but there's smoke in their cockpit. I was like, oh shit, right, okay. So it's coming in, whatever, then it's on my frequency. It's coming in. And the thing, like, I remember, like, when it hit me was like, so whenever they're smoking a cockpit, the pilots put on gas masks. So you're used to, like, normal comms, which are still, like, they're not, like, this quality at all. Yeah. But, like, you're used to hearing them. And then, it comes on, and you can hear, like, the nervousness in the pilot's voice.
Oh, wow.
You know, like, his demeanor's a bit different. Because this is, like, the same pilots fly to the same airports every day, and I've been there for years, so I've heard this guy's voice, and it's a bit different. And he's got a gas mask on. And you're like, okay. So he turns on to like final approach, and like normally when an aircraft would turn on to like line up with the runway, it just turns on.
Yeah.
It's straight as a die, and it comes down. It descends perfectly. Came on and wiggled like through and back through like it's called like a localizer, the extended center line of the runway. It's like going through and back.
Is that because he's nervous, or is it because
It's because he can't see the instruments as well because there's smoke in the cockpit, and because he's wearing a big gas mask and having to bloody fly this thing in. So I'm there like, what happens if this plane crashes?
Yeah.
Like, I've been trained for all this, obviously, and I've given him the relevant information. I've cleared the airspace. He's got priority. The fire crew are out on standby. The airport knows. The engineers know. All the other sectors know. Other planes are holding. Everything's waiting, and you're in control of it all. This guy's coming in, but it's like, I've been trained for this, but like equally, like, I'm just like a 25-year-old bum. And like, if this guy hits the turf, like, I know what I have to do, and I've been trained in what I have to do. That's different than fucking doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You never thought you'd actually experience a situation like
but then he just landed and it was fine.
You seem human.
Bit of an anticlimax there. Yeah. But like,
what was the fire then?
I didn't end up reading the report down the line, but like there was smoke in the cockpit, whatever. I think they landed on the runway and then people start piling out the doors or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was fine. There wasn't like a big smoke. There wasn't a fire. Like I don't think the plane was. There was a fire in the engine somewhere.
Yeah.
Like not the engines, but like in the cockpit. So like it wasn't great, but like, you know, you'd rather that than one of the fires has burst into or one of the engines has burst into flames. And you're.
Did you with the whole time you were there? Did you ever hear of any crashes or anything like that?
No, there was a very big one. Aviation's just so safe because anytime anything happens that even could lead to an incident, even if nothing happened, they put something in place to make sure that thing can never happen again. And millions of planes fly all the time.
Yeah.
So there's so many little things that have happened, and then they put there's a book this size of like an air traffic service manual or like aviation manuals.
Right.
It's like like, obviously things can happen.
Yeah.
Like it's super, super, super safe.
Because I'm a bit of a nervous flyer, aren't I? Like, and people always say like you're more likely to get killed in a car crash on the way to the airport than you are up there. Had you, before you worked in aviation, were you nervous flyer or not bothered at all?
But like once I got into it, I was even like more calm.
Right.
Because you just know how normal some things are, and like how regularly holding happens. You know, like if you're going doing loops in the sky, trying to land somewhere, and then you have to divert. It's like that happens every day. Or like taking off in fog, happens every day. Turbulence all the time. Wind shear, which is where the plane like does this on the final approach all the time.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, like the winds. You know, the there are very specific parameters that pilots can or cannot land in. And like basically, if you're landing, they're within the parameters, which means you're sweet.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if it is risky, you're not landing.
Yeah.
Or if you are landing and it gets a bit hairy, they go around and then you go, oh, they go around. Yeah, that's the safe bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, nah, I'm happy enough flying.
Let's pretend you never got into what you're doing now, which we're about to get onto. But did you ever want to be a pilot? Did you ever consider that?
Oh, piloting? Nah.
Why not?
Piloting for me, pilots. So I know some pilots, lovely guys. And I don't want to poop on the profession too much. Like they're very highly skilled individuals, and like they go and they get paid well and whatever else. But as a job and as a lifestyle, those boys work like dogs. It's
Really?
honestly, they're up at 4 a.m, out walking around aircraft, making sure it's sweet, filling out paperwork, getting in, flying this thing for hours. Like if you work for one of the bigger airlines, you're sat in the plane on autopilot for 8 hours, which is grand.
Yeah.
But then if you're like a Ryanair pilot or EasyJet or whatever, like more regional flights, like these people will wake up at 4 a.m. and go from like Cork to Newcastle, back to Cork, over to Heathrow, back to Cork. Like I fly all the time with what I do. I'm sure you fly a bit, and people listening fly all the time. See, when you're on it's like 4 flights a day, just because you're flying it, I don't think makes the process any more fun. Going through securities, being away from your family, staying in hotels all the time. They were away all the time,
and they don't really get to see much of the countries they land in.
No, because they're in and out, but they'll just be like late night into hotels. I don't know, not for me.
Yeah,
I'm a bit of a home bird, like.
Fair enough. And then my final question on that: where's that air traffic controller sit in when you do your job?
So there's different positions.
Right.
So like tower control is like basically you separate aircraft using your actual eyes. So you look out the window when you're up in that big high tower you see at the airport. You look out that window, you see this plane is on that stand, and you tell him to taxi along this taxiway, line up on this runway, and you tell him to line up on the runway by looking out the window to see the plane is 3 miles back, and therefore you know you have time to get him to take off, blah, blah, blah. You separate them with your eyes, so you sit in the tower where you can see them with your eyes, and you might have your wee binoculars out and you're looking for planes. Approach control, which is like everything set once they take off, and once they're outside, let's call it 5 miles and like 5,000 feet of an airport, roughly. Once you're outside that, you're into like approach control. Different airports and different like sort of aviation authorities around the world might have different like classifications and airspaces. But where I worked, approach control then takes you, and that you could sit anywhere. You could be sat here doing that if it's wired up.
Oh, really?
Problem is you'll be wired into you'll be somewhere where there's like fallbacks. So like if this monitor feels there's a backup, and if this power connection feels there's a backup. So like you will be, so you won't just do it from home, like
right, yeah.
You're in a very contained environment with security and all the rest.
Yeah.
But like you just sit in a room.
Yeah.
Now in Cork it was lovely because it was up on the tower, so it was light and it was spacious, and you could coordinate very easily with the tower controller who you work closely with. But other ones would just be you'd be ringing each other. So the approach controller would be in a basement.
So did you have to go through security every day then?
We didn't have to go through security because we were on the other side of the runway. So we were actually, you went down the back road to the other side of the runway. But like we did have like a gate with a buzzer and then like IDs and tapping through things. And
because I always wonder with like air staff, they have to go through security.
Yeah, every single time.
Yeah. Do they have to? They have to go through the normal sort of security bit or not?
I think they get like fast track every time because in airports I always see like pilots and all that, or people even who work in like the cafes and stuff in airports, they just like buzz through fast track.
Yeah.
But I think they do the same thing.
Pilot's quite a sexy job, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
like
they get around. Yeah.
That's a job.
It is though. It's classically sexy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like back in the 70s and 80s, they were like
Celebrities.
they legitimately were like celebrities.
Yeah. People used to go up to them in the airport and ask for photos and stuff.
You'd want to wear their hat and stuff, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Not me
Would you?
personally.
Do you?
I want to. I want to wear a hat.